As the movie starts, Gorr is shown sitting in a desert. Here, there was a daughter with him but they had nothing to eat. Gorr prays to his god, pleading with him to save them. Help us, but nothing happens after so many prayers. Their god does not assist them and has not become their support. The time passes gradually, and the condition of Gorr's daughter becomes worse and she dies in her father's hands. Gorr becomes sad but then he makes a grave of his daughter and moves forward. Then he sees a forest at a far distance, and he thinks seeing the forest in the desert that maybe God has listened to him. He moves to that forest and there he finds a lot of water. He drinks a lot of water and later, he sees a lot of fruits in front. He immediately moves to those fruits and starts eating them. Meanwhile, the demigod sitting here says to Gorr, "Oh strange human, why are you eating my fruits?" Hearing this, Gorr says, "I prayed to you and you have come here as I called you. You saved my life." But Sungud says, "I am not here to keep you, but I am here for celebration as I have found a sword named Necrosword. The sword is to fight and everyone and I am here for its celebration." Gorr becomes serious as he hears the word happiness as he has lost all happiness. He just had a daughter he wanted to save while praying to the god, but now he has lost his daughter. Gorr says to Rapu, "The people who worship you are ended, and I am the last one." Rapu says sacrifices are always needed to make the gods happy. "And what's the big deal if your daughter is dead? Just consider her death as a sacrifice." Gorr becomes furious hearing this, and the sword that was made to and gods, it secretly comes in Gorr's hand. Getting the sword, Gorr ends Rapu and promises that now he will end all the gods. "The gods whom we worshipped are not able to be honored. That's why I will not spare any god." Later, the scene shifts to Korg, who was telling Thor's story to the kids about how he fights for them, who can't fight for themselves. Thor considers his real purpose to help helpless people since his childhood. During this, he met Jane Foster but soon they were separated. Later, Thor's parents, siblings, and the humans whom he loves were separated from him. There was a special thing about Thor that he didn't give up fighting for others. Then he joined Guardians of the Galaxy and there he fought with them in many fights. He always misses a person named Jane Foster. Thor was alone and he has made himself far from the humans' world. Later, he started living alone. His inner warrior awakes whenever anyone says the fight can't be won without you, Thor. Then Peter Quill is shown here saying to Thor, "There is a war and we can't win it without you." Thor flies while taking his Stormbreaker out of the earth and making it a broom. He reaches the war where the warriors of Guardians of the Galaxy were fighting with their enemies. Meanwhile, the king arrives and says the robbers have attacked us. "And Thor, you are the one who can save us from those robbers. Our lives were fine but then someone ended our god. Then those robbers attacked us and starts robbing us. They even occupied our temple and Thor promised to return their temple." Later, Thor picks his Stormbreaker and connects his powers with it, and becomes Mighty Thor. Now he was ending the robbers one by one. He stretches his legs and stops two cars together. After much fighting, Thor triumphs, but the king's temple is completely destroyed. Later, the scene shifts to female Mighty Thor means Jane Foster, and she is the female main character of this story. She was suffering from fourth-stage cancer and Darcy asks Jane, "How's he whom you love?" Jane ignores her and doesn't pay attention to her, because at this time Jane wasn't in any relationship with Thor. Jane has become a professor in those 8 years and she gives lectures on science and theories as well. During this, she discovers from Vikings book there was written about Mjolnir, the weapon of Thor. Strength and good health were also included in it. Valkyrie is also shown living in her new Asgard with humans. She also has a good relationship with humans and also got funding. A show of Thor, Odin and Loki was going on in the new Asgard where they were performing. There was Thor's old weapon Mjolnir in a glass bowl, but it was broken and its pieces were there. As Jane arrives, the pieces start moving and they seem alive. On another side, Jakar gifts Thor 2 goats as he has saved their life. The reward was a must. Later, they come to their ship, and Peter discovers while checking his advanced communication that many countries need help. Everyone was sending messages for help, and they were saying our gods are ended. Meanwhile, Thor sees Sif, who was actually his best friend. Thor says to his friend, "We have to save Sif and her country." But Peter says there are many other people and countries who need our help. Why wouldn't we help them go separately? Thor agrees, and reaches Sif with his Stormbreaker and Korg. When they arrive, They notice that the Valkyrian god has been killed by someone. Thor finds Sif in the worst condition at a place and she has lost her hand. Here she tells Thor, the person who made our condition this his next target is the new Asgard. Our enemy is moving there. Then after it, Gorr enters, who is the villain in this movie. He reaches the new Asgard and makes monsters of black shadows with the help of Necrosword. The monsters were destroying the city. But then Valkyrie arrives on a flying horse and starts sending those monsters. Thor enters during all this and starts stopping them. But the monsters were increasing in number one by one. Here, Thor sees his old weapon Mjolnir, and he feels the presence of another brave warrior except for him. He is brave like him, and Valkyrie says, I do believe you will like that warrior. Here is the amazing entry of the female Mighty Thor, means Jane Foster, but she has reached here in her Mighty Thor's getup. Thor also comes in his Mighty Thor look to impress her. Here, they were happy to see each other. Their first task was to defeat the enemies, so they start fighting with them, and during the fight, a flashback of Thor is also shown. Jane and Thor lives happily, but when there was a call from Avengers to take Thor and a call from Science to take Jane, then they ended their relationship. Their busy routine separated them, and there was a time when their relationship ended. In the present scene, Gorr takes a kid of New Asgard with the help of his Black Shadow. Gorr leaves before Thor faces him. The next day, the parents report about their missing kids. They were worried because of their missing kids. Meanwhile, Thor arrives and says, I promise I will bring your kids back. Thor was talking to his team about Gorr the God Butcher. Valkyrie tells him Gorr has Necrosword, which can end all gods easily. Even the sword has the power to make many monsters with the Black Shadow. Jane asks what is Necrosword, and Thor explains it is a sword that changes its owner with the passage of time. This sword makes the human corrupt who will hold it. Meanwhile, there was the holographic image of Astrid. He says, I'm one of the kids whom Gorr has taken with him. Here, Thor asks him, where are you right now? He tells, I can't use my powers properly, and Thor asks him to use a power. With this power, Thor reaches the place where the kids were, and the kids become happy to see Thor. They ask him to help them and escape them from here. We want to go back to our parents, but Thor says, I am not here with you in reality, just my mind is present here. That is the unconscious mind, but don't worry, I will definitely come to save all of you with my team. Coming back to his conscious mind, he tells his team, Gorr has placed the kids in the dark place of the spaceship. There is darkness everywhere. If Gorr was powerful on the Earth, his powers will increase in the dark shadow of space. That's why we need a powerful team to defeat Gorr, that will be strong, and they reach the God's palace to increase their team. This palace wasn't on the Earth, but it was in the sky. Here many gods were discovered as stone gods, wax gods, or even gods of feelings. Another god has joined them, that was the god of thunder. That was none other than Thor, the god of thunder. Now they somehow move inside while changing their getup. Then enters the god of gods, means Zeus. It was the lightning god, and they were meeting today. They have to discuss some important points in the meeting. The points were funny, like where will be their next farewell, which girls will come there, and what will be the menu. Thor becomes furious about all this, and he comes in between to talk to the point. Thor says, Zeus, I'm here to accept your assistance because the gods of the universe are coming to an end. Gorr is behind all this, and he is doing this as he has Necrosword. He has taken many kids from the Earth's New Asgard to the darkness of space, and placed them as prisoners. I want to save them and need your help for this. Now we have to make a team of all gods here. Later, we have to fight with Gorr and have to end God Butcher, means Gorr. Zeus doesn't like this, and becomes furious, but Thor removes his clothes to show himself, and Zeus discovers him. He has come from Asgard, but Zeus says Asgardians know the problems of Asgard, and I can't help you with all this. Valkyrie and Jane were thinking while sitting at a distance, if they will get the thunderbolt from Zeus's hand, they can bravely face Gorr. That's why they fight with God to get the thunderbolt. Believe me, this is an amazing fight. Thor and his team were fighting with gods, but Zeus attacked Thor with his thunderbolt. But Thor was also not less than anyone, as he is god of thunder. He holds the thunderbolt and does a reverse attack on Zeus. Zeus becomes injured, but Korg's body was also destroyed in this fight. They leave at the right time with the help of goats. Later, They were ready to go to Gorr to fight. There was a problem: the path was so long and there was darkness on the way. Here, the Stormbreaker was working to throw light on the dark paths. Thor and Jane spent a good time together. As they were far from each other for 8 years, so they apologized to each other for their mistakes. Jane also wants to tell him about her 4th stage cancer, but she couldn't tell him. Their ship reaches Gorr's planet and there was darkness. This darkness was so strong that it extinguished the light. Here, the movie is shown in black and white for a while. They didn't find the kids even after reaching here, but Jane sees a kid's drawing and it was of eternity. A door needed to be opened to reach there, and it will open with the help of Stormbreaker. Reaching there, Jane understands this was Gorr's planning to call Thor here, and his Stormbreaker will also reach here with him. Likewise, he will open the door of eternity with the help of Stormbreaker. Jane throws the Stormbreaker at a distance after knowing this. Here enters the God Butcher, the villain of the movie, who made them prisoner with the help of his black shadows. Later, he asks Thor, "Tell me, where is your Stormbreaker? I want it because I need it." Gorr tries to open Thor's hand with the help of his powers, but Thor kept his fist closed with his full strength. Gorr knows that Thor always fights for others. That's why he made Jane and Valkyrie his prey. He tries to end them. Due to it, Thor has to bring his Stormbreaker here unwillingly. As Stormbreaker arrives at Thor, there was a huge blast because of it, and they were released. There was a fight between them and Thor digs away to go to the Earth with his Stormbreaker. Before going there, Gorr holds the Stormbreaker and doesn't leave it, and Thor discovers after reaching Earth that Stormbreaker left with Gorr. Jane has become injured in this fight, so she was taken to the hospital immediately. After talking to the doctor, Thor discovers Jane's 4th stage cancer. Jane has hidden this from Thor, and the powers Jane was getting till now were from Mjolnir. Mjolnir gave her power, but it was pushing her more toward cancer. If Jane will hold Mjolnir again, she will be ended. Thor comes to Jane and says, "Listen to me, Jane. You have worked enough, now this is my turn. I will go and then Gorr, and promise me you will never hold Mjolnir again." Now the scene shifts to Gorr having Necrosword and Stormbreaker in both hands. With its help, he reaches the Palace of Eternity and tries to open the door with Stormbreaker. Meanwhile, Thor reaches having Zeus's Thunderbolt, and an amazing fight is shown. This fight is worth appreciating as the great warriors fight while having great weapons. Gorr makes the black shadows and monsters while using Necrosword that were increasing in number. On another side, the door of eternity was about to open. When it opens, Gorr will receive eternity. It means that if a human wishes in front of him, his wish will be granted. As Gorr's name describes, God Butcher, if he will get the chance to wish for something, he will surely wish for the end of gods. That's why Thor gives the kids his powers, just to stop Gorr. With it, the kids change into Thor. They face the black monsters, but Gorr was dominant over them, and the female Mighty Thor reaches here to save him. She was having Mjolnir and divided Necrosword into pieces while attacking with it. Thor feels bad as Jane has the last chance and she has sacrificed her life to save him. He takes Jane in his lap and says, "Don't worry, everything will be fine." Then Gorr reaches near eternity and he was about to wish, but Thor arrives and says, "Listen to me. Do whatever you want to do, but you will never get peace." Gorr says, "Tell me from where I can get peace." Thor replies, "True love means you can get peace in love. You are now wishing the end of all gods, and I, too, will be ended because I'm a god." Means god of thunder. So why I should spend my last time with a human like you? I will spend this time with my love. Means Jane. Gorr remembers his daughter after hearing the word love. Now he asks for his daughter instead of the end of all gods. Then his daughter was in his hands in the next scene. It was Gorr's last time because of using Necrosword for a long time. Gorr was worried that who will take care of his daughter? She will be alone, but Thor says, "I will take care of your daughter." Jane dies in Thor's hands and Gorr loses his life in his daughter's hands. Astrid releases the kids while using Stormbreaker and takes them to Asgard. Now the kids were in Asgard and Valkyrie was training them how to fight. 2 post-credits scenes are shown in the ending. Thor is shown and he has taken responsibility for Gorr's daughter. Now they both support the helpless people. In another scene, Zeus is shown injured in the Sky Palace, and says to his companions, "Thor's last time has arrived. My son Hercules will come for taking revenge on him." This film concludes with intriguing suspense. Thank you for watching.